Sara definitely was the most joyful person that I've ever known. And that doesn't mean that she was never honest about how she actually felt, because she would go there. She wouldn't stay there long, but she would go there and she would talk about how she felt. But she would still even do that. You just had the sense that it was even that in a quick moment of saying how badly she was feeling or how much pain she was in or how lonely she felt. You could still hear the eternal perspective in the way she said it. It was like her heart, even when she would acknowledge the suffering, though she would never call it that, she still did it with this mindset of knowing that it's just a drop in the bucket compared to all that God has and all that God is doing and all that lies ahead. And somehow that helped her take a deep breath and push through it. And that was a huge lesson for me, because that's the challenge of choosing joy, that it doesn't mean not acknowledging our situation or denying the fact that we're going through a hard time or struggling, that we can be honest about it, but still in that making the conscious choice of saying, I might not get it, but God, I trust that you are good and that you ultimately have my good and your glory in mind with what I'm experiencing right now. And I don't get it, but I'm going to trust that anyway.
The thing about having a friend who can't leave her house is it kind of puts things in perspective. Like if you're just being bratty and you feel sorry for yourself for something, that you want or isn't happening for you or isn't going well in your life, like you've always got that, like, at least you can leave your house. Like, don't be a brat. Come on. Like Sara is living like this and she still has joy and she still, chooses to be thankful for the gifts that God has given her.
She served us. We should have, she was the hurting. She was the broken. She was the one who, needed to be served. That's why we're here talking about her.
She chased down community more than I've ever seen anybody do it. From the confines of her tiny condo in feet of snow down in Iowa, she would find ways to bring people to herself, even if that just happened through her computer screen. But she sought it out and made it happen, which was a good reminder to me that when we are lacking something, sometimes while we want it to just be presented to us, we sometimes need to do the hard work of chasing it down. But I saw her do that, and I saw her do it by not in an artificial way. She was never disingenuous in anything that I ever saw her do or say.
I never met Sara, but she was part of my community, and I feel like that I was part of her community too, and that you could build really, meaningful relationships with people that you haven't met or that maybe you won't meet. I remember at the beginning of blogging, there would be people, they would act like your blog friends were like your imaginary friends that lived in your computer. These are not real people. These are, your play friends on a computer. But those friendships can be real, and you really can minister to people and have real friendships that maybe never become face-to-face. But their community is very relevant, and the online community can be too, real community.
It was crazy how Sara never let anybody feel alone. And it's so odd because she was by herself often. But she always made sure that your needs were met. She made you feel like you were the most important person in the entire world. She told me that, I asked her how she did it. And she said, well, when you're with somebody or you're on the phone with them, you pay complete attention to them. You don't give detail, you don't give your focus to the computer or a telephone ringing. She said, I turn things off because to make people feel valued, you make them your priority. And what a great lesson, because in so many ways we're all so busy that Sara took the busyness out of it and made people's hearts her intent.
But she genuinely was interested in other people and would invest in them. And in turn, as natural course of friendships go, the investment was returned and people would invest back in her. But she didn't do it to get. She did it because she just loves people. And so she would pour into others. And in doing that, it was creating community for herself beyond the four walls of where she lived.
One of the beautiful things about Sara was that she loved wholeheartedly, and she jumped in feet first to her relationships. And that was a rare gift.
I think what moved me, it moves me most about Sara, is that every conversation I had with her, like every interaction, whether it was email or whether it was phone or on Skype, I walked away from that experience or that encounter a different person. And I'm not sure I've met very many people that do that, and do that without trying to do that. That is the beauty of who Sara was, is that her faith and her joy and her love of God and people never felt put on or forced. It just was who she was. It was a part of who she was, and that came out and oozed out when it was supposed to. But it never was preachy or taught or like she was trying to teach me something. It was me engaging her life and her life changing me. Like I can't explain it any other way. She was a unique presence in our life for 3 years that I do not believe was an accident, and that I mourn the loss of all the time. But I am so grateful. Like I am just grateful that I was able to know her.
Oh my. Oh, well, the girl embraced everybody. She knew no boundaries at all. She loved on everybody, and it was genuine. She wholly cared for people, and wow. When you knew people that were going through struggles, and you don't like to compare, oh well, they're not quite bad off as this person, but even though she in her worst days was really bad off, she still found time to reach out and love on others, and that's what she did best.
I think one thing I really appreciated about Sara was how she refused to be defined by anything, whether it was illness or her life stage, being single, or not having physical children, any of those things. She just refused that and found joy in spite of those things. And I think even though we didn't have the same struggle as Sara, all of us have things in our lives that could confine us if we let them. And whenever I would feel something closing in on me, I would think about Sara and how she very easily could have even let the four walls of her house be confining, but she chose joy and freedom anyway. And that a lot of times still gives me the courage to do the same thing, to say, if Sara could do that, then I can too.
It's funny because she taught me how to choose joy. She taught me that, regardless of what is going on, that there is she's my drink of perspective. So it is a matter of perspective, is how you're choosing to look at the surroundings. Are you going to dwell on the negative and the things that really are out of your control and you cannot change? Or are you going to take the aspects of that and see how you can embrace who you are, what your abilities are in that moment, to take that situation and just run with it and live with it in joy, and whatever that looks like to you, because I think joy looks different for everybody. She had joy, but people can look at her and say, there's no way, how can she have joy? But she had joy. She knew what joy was.
My life is better, and thousands of people's lives are better because of Sara's story.
I'm with you.